That's okay. What is the illumination?
Yeah. Can you hear me, Prof? Network. Yeah, hello, my people. My name is Chinedu Anichi, your one and only celebrity here. So, and this is Chinedu Anichi TV, streaming live from United States of America. To be precise, from Missouri, St. Louis, Missouri, United States of America. Today, my people, will be having one of our illustrious sons, a father, a big uncle, an academic, not just an academic, but a fulfilled one, a professor of mass communication, and who has measured in special medias and advertisement. Today, we'll be having on the show Professor Sonny Udeze of Department of Mass Communication, Enugu State University of Technology in Nigeria, live on this show. So, if you're on this show, I want you to share the live video. Share the live video because we are ready. Just a little network, but Prof will be right now inside. Oh, go live. Facebook, Instagram. Yeah, we are waiting. Professor Sonny Udeze live on Chinedu Anichi TV. I don't know where you're watching from, but if you're watching from the YouTube, you are welcome. If you're watching from Instagram, you're watching from Facebook, wherever you're watching from, this is Chinedu Anichi TV, streaming live from United States of America. And today we are featuring in the show Professor Sonny Udeze. Professor Sonny Udeze, a professor of mass communication. And today we'll be talking about a very important part of us. We'll be talking about our tradition and culture, the cultural values, the traditional values of Africa, and its relevance today. Where's Goba, please, can you share this live video? Sir, please share this live video. Oluabola of Rangers, African Rangers, Egypt, Oluabola, Bonaventure, please share this live video. Tag whoever you can tag. Bring your friends. Tell a friend to tell a friend that Chinedu Anichi TV is on, and we are on today. So let's go there. We'll be waiting on Prof. I don't know what's going on. Maybe he wants to, Prof wants to switch over. I don't know whether it's network, but I will find out. So he has been in the show. He has appeared once, and maybe he wants to switch over to another network. I don't know. You know where me and you are coming from. It's always a challenge. Network is always a challenge. But that's not what we're going to do today. So let's go. And while we wait for Prof, I will be tuning in and getting in the other side. Yeah. Yeah, let's see what goes on. Live. Put your notification button and make sure you are live. Yeah. Prof is back to stage, and Prof, can you hear me? Or the network is still holding you down? Oh my God. This network is something else today. Network is holding Prof down. I can't even hear him. Hello. Oh gosh, Nigerian network is something else. Yeah, Prof is live in the show, but it's like we're having a hinge from the network. But we'll have to be patient a little, and let's see what happens. Wow. Oh my God. My people, I don't know what's going on. Friends, tell a friend to tell a friend. Oh my gosh.
I didn't understand that.
My people, I don't know what's going on. Friends, tell a friend to tell a Yeah, my people, I don't know what's going on the network, but today we'll be having the topic we're having today is traditional and cultural values of Africa, African traditional values, African cultural values, and how it affects us today. How does it affect our life today? How do we observe it? What is the implication? How far have we gone with it? And are we alienated from it? If we are, what is the implication? Is it being transparent in the way we behave? Okay, what does it show? Negative or positive impact for abandoning or alienating ourselves from our cultural values? That's what I will be talking with Prof today. And I pray that network will permit us because I don't know really what's going on. 1 minute again, let me call Prof again and then.
Hello? Hello? Hello, Chinedu? Hello?
I'm hearing you, I'm hearing you.
Okay, let's try because I had to move. I had to move from my study to another place to see whether the network.
I think it's better here. I think it's a bit better. It's even hanging again, but I don't know.
It could be better.
Yeah, I think it's better here. Okay, you are welcome,
Okay.
Prof. Please, you're
Thank you, my
welcome.
brother.
Yeah, thank you. The long anticipated Prof is here. Professor Sunny Udeze is here, Professor of Mass Communication, who measured in the media and advertisement. And anyway, let me not blow the trumpet. He's going to explain when he comes. Prof, may I have the privilege and honor, because we have a campaign to sustain intergenerational conversation, let me have the honor to invite one of our elders, an academic, an uncle, a big, somebody who has been experienced. It's not just about study, but he has been part of our system, Nigerian system, African system. We're full of experience and wisdom. So today I'm inviting to this show Professor Sunny Udeze. Prof, you're welcome to this show.
Thank you so much, my brother.
Yeah. Please, can you officially introduce yourself to our audience?
Well, I am, like you already said, Sunny Emmanuel Udeze. I am a professor of mass communication with the Enugu State University of Science and Technology here in Enugu, Nigeria. Like you observed, my major actually is advertising, public relations, but I veer into international communication and media ethics.
Wow, wow, wow. International communication and media ethics. Wow,
Yes.
wow, wow. Thank you, Prof, for coming. Thank you for making time to be with us. This is
The pleasure is mine.
Chinedu Anichi TV is a voice. We call African Voice in Diaspora. A lot of stories have been told about Africans. A lot of books have been written by Africans, by non-Africans. A lot of movies have been done by non-Africans about Africa. So people have written, people have told stories. But I remember the admonition of our great novelist, may his soul rest in peace, Chinedu Anichi. He said, when an outsider tells your story, the story will never end without prejudice. So when other people have been telling the story of Africans, Asians, Europeans, Americans, no, this time we chose a niche in this platform to allow Africans to tell their own stories. And being one of our sons that we celebrate, one of our fathers we celebrate, and one of our gray hairs when it comes to academic and experience, we are calling you today here to talk our own talk. And that talk will be based on African values, African traditional and cultural values as it affects us today. So, and that is why we're here, Prof. But before we go to that, let me tickle you a bit. If you touch great men, Jonathan said, I went to school without shoes. Some other people say, I went to school trekking 3 miles. Some other people say, but today you're a professor. I know there's a little story behind your glory. If you can tell us a little about your background, how you started, and so that people will be encouraged to know that no matter how it is, somebody can become anything from where he is today. Can you share a little experience of maybe how you started?
Well, thank you so much. Like you rightly observed, everybody started somewhere. And most of us, to run away from exaggeration, 70–80% of us were not born with golden, silver, nor bronze spoons. We were born with wooden spoons in our mouth. That is, if there is any spoon at all. Actually, I was born in 1962, October 30th to be precise, which means that by His grace, On the 30th of October next month, I'll be 62 years.
Wow.
A long time by God's grace. In a country or a continent where the mortality as it is now is 45 years, 50 years as a result of stress and so many things. Yes, I lost 3 years of my life to the war, just like most other people born during my time in this part of the world and in this part of the country. After the war in 1970 actually, after the war in 1970, that was when I started my primary education, went to a village primary school where we carry our metal boxes on our heads and travel for a distance of 2-3 kilometers, sometimes barefooted, and if you're lucky enough, with bedroom slippers. Sandals were luxuries that most of us could not afford. From there, I went to do my secondary education at Ogwu High School, Nemwe, also in Ogwu local government area of Enugu State, what used to be Anambra State then. I was a day student because boarding school was a little bit challenging. There was no water. We used to go and dig up water from a stream that will always dry during the dry season. You won't have a drop of water there, so you have to dig in order to get brownish water. We call that stream Omo. I was there from 1976 and then left 1981 by God's grace with a distinction, or what they call distinction then, aggregate 12. From there, I went to University of Nigeria in Nsukka, where I did my first degree in mass communication under the tutelage of great scholars, Professor Charles Chinedu Anichi, who is also still in US now, Professor Romanus Chiude Okonkwo, also back to US, Professor Silvanus Ekwele, we call him the sage. That's the only one that stayed back when the others left, following the brain drain wahala, you know. So on graduation, I made a 2-1 by God's grace, and then joined IMT, started teaching. While I was teaching, I started my master's degree, also at UNN, finished 94, and then had this opportunity to come to US and do my PhD. I actually got admission at Harvard University to do a PhD in mass communication. Unfortunately, that was at the time that every other young person who wants to travel overseas is considered to be running away from the country. I went for an interview at the embassy. I was asked to come back in 7 days' time for my visa. When I came back, I started hearing funny stories that the date on my Form I-20 has elapsed. Of course, that was an excuse for not giving the visa. I wrote to the school, the International Students Unit of Harvard. That time it was under the directorship of one lady called Dr. Ansa. They wrote a very wonderful letter, which if I had known, I would have brought to share with you here, where they say that it's not the duty of the embassy to decide whether a student will cope or not. That the time on my Form I-20 has nothing to do with my ability to cope with my program. Of course, every other effort, every other thing they did came to nothing. They said I should do TOEFL, that's test of English as a foreign language, which of course you know that for those of us from African countries that speak English, what you call Anglophone countries, is not necessary. I actually took the exam and passed very well. But after some efforts, it turned out that that was not really what they wanted. And I thank God, because at the end of the day, I was able, when I learned that they have started doing PhD in mass comm at University of Uyo, I was enrolled there, 4 of us, and after some 4 years, 5 years, I was able to complete my PhD, and that was in 2006. Gradually, we continued with our academic pursuit, going to different universities to teach. In fact, a friend of mine, a colleague of mine, who is now late, Professor Haijinu Zaligwe, described myself and Professor Ikendolo as academic missionaries, because we were going to different universities in the Southeast to help out with their mass comm program. As at the time, we were doing this 2007, 2006. Most of the universities around here, Nnamdi Azikiwe University, University of Nigeria, Nsukka, Ebonyi State University, Chukwuemeka Odumegwu University, Igbariam, they have not started PhD programs in mass comm. We were helping out to start these programs, and by God's grace, all these universities have very stable PhD programs, producing very wonderful academics. So that is the small story of my life academically.
Thank you, Prof, for the articulation, because even at your age, you were able to articulate them with very clear reference to dates and dates and time and season, and that goes a long way to talk about how disciplined and how intelligent you are. Thank you, Prof, for sharing that with us in all humility. So
Thank
today,
you so much.
our topic is about the African traditional and cultural values and how it affects us. Prof, if you look at this topic, it deals with our values, our core values as Africans. And that is what the Gen Z, the younger generation, don't know. And in our campaign to sustain this intergenerational conversation, we leave it to you to tell us about this, Prof.
Well, thank you so much, Chinedu. I will talk about, they say you have to look at the past to know the present and predict the future. African continent is a great continent. It is true that we passed through so many turbulent experiences, starting from slave trade down to neo-colonialism and the stage we are now, where it is us that are our own problems. But I have to start by taking us back. What are those things that Africans are known for? What are those things that our people were known for in the days of yore? You see, in Africa, whether it is Nigeria, whether it is Ghana, whether it's Uganda, whether it's Gambia or whatever, the first and most important thing that we cherish is ourselves as human beings. Africans have great respect for human life, for human beings. There are so many things that happen these days that ordinarily in the olden days in African societies, you cannot even contemplate that. First and foremost, in Africa of today, you're talking of things like ritual murder, ritual killings, doing things that are out of the ordinary in order to make money. That was not the African continent that some of us witnessed as young people. We had value for human life. There was what you call sanctity of human life. You cannot dream of taking anybody's life for any reason, whether it is for money or for any other thing. Except maybe in case of wars, when you used to have intertribal wars. Of course, in those days, if I have a case of intertribal wars, somebody must have to defend himself. Then you have what we call respect for elders. Respect for elders. In Africa of our days, if you're older than me, whether it is by 10 years or by 5 years, I respect you like my elder. In fact, you can send me on errand. Even if I have other things to do, I will leave those things and run your errand.
Oh, this network.
Elder. And you discover that in those days, you cannot just get up and talk to any elder anyhow. You can't. If you do, you have the age grace. They will marshal you, lie you down, and cane you for that act of insolence to your elder. Now, as a people, we live communally. If you don't have a house, the members of the community can come together on a particular day and say they're going to build a house for you. They will come together, gather mud, mash it, mold it, do everything, gather grasses, gather bamboo, and make a house for you. Why do they do that? So that you feel comfortable, so that you feel that you belong, so that you feel that you have people. So we always try as much as we can to take care of our own. You don't abandon your people. That's why we say in Africa, in Igbo language, for instance, that is, nobody should leave the brother or the neighbor. We work closely to achieve progress in our society. Nobody is allowed to go eat all alone. Nobody is allowed to suffer because he or she cannot afford what others can afford. In those days, in the 50s, in the 30s, I was not there at that time, but we are told that communities gather money and sponsor children who are very intelligent to schools. So your father may be a palm wine tapper, your father may be a farmer, your father may be anything. But because you are intelligent, the community can come together and sponsor your education. That's how we lived in those days, different from the kind of thing we are experiencing today. Today, it is everybody to himself and God for us all. People do not bother so much about the issue of coming together to help out because every other person is minding his own business or following his own lane. I don't know whether that captures most of what you want me to talk about. Do I go on?
Yeah, Prof. I think the only thing I need to do is to be moderating a bit, but you have the floor, you have the day, because we really we thirst and hunger. We thirst and hunger for what you are teaching today. So I just will be coming in a little to moderate, and but if it is for the floor, you have the floor for the day.
Sure.
So you can take it one of the way you want it. If you want to talk about the marriages, you want to talk about the sanctity of life, any way you want it.
Okay, I have talked about the sanctity of life to some extent, but I also want to dwell a little bit more on that before I go into maybe issues of marriage and other things. Okay. You see, when I talked about the issue of sanctity of life, in those days, you know, if you kill somebody, without that's what you may call it's not a premeditated murder. You didn't deliberately decide to kill the person. You are sent out from the community. You go on exile. And then there are things you're supposed to do to cleanse the land. And when that is done by the elders, you can now be made to come back. But what we are having today is a situation where people kill even their own parents, even their own relations, primarily for money. Nothing more. They do that for money. And money, unfortunately, is something that you make. And the essence of making money is for you to enjoy that money with family and friends. So when you keep somebody in order to make money, then of what use is that money? If you kill your mother or kill your brother or kill your sister, who will enjoy that money with you? And this is the kind of thing that the children without conscience and even elders without conscience are doing these days. Now, you do this because everybody's attention, unfortunately, is focused on wealth and material things. In the days gone by, if you, Chinedu, comes back to your community and you come back with a very exotic car, and the community members know that Chinedu is not doing any business or doing any job that will give him or give him that kind of money to buy that kind of car, everybody will shun you. The drinks you will buy, every other thing you will do, nobody will want to associate with you because they will say that they don't know the source of your wealth. The reverse is the case today. When you come back from any part of the world or from anywhere with any kind of thing, it doesn't matter to people of these days how that money is gotten. What they call ocharobuo, that is to say, whether you got it through the right way or you got it through the wrong way, the most important thing is that you got money, which is unfortunate. It is like the Machiavellian ethics that says the end justifies the means. But the end is supposed not to justify the means. The end should be whether what you're doing will give greater benefit to the greater majority of the members of the society. After doing that thing, can you go back and sleep soundly? If the answer is no, even if you will get what you want, then you're not supposed to embark on that. So we have what you may call a value somersault. We have a value somersault where even the elders do no longer bother about the source of wealth of their children, about the source of wealth of their relations. What is important is that my son, my daughter is doing this or doing that, having bringing in money from God knows where. It doesn't make sense. It's not the Africa that we know. And we can link this to so many things. One of those things that we can link them to is the kind of government leaderships that we have in Africa. I'm going to talk about this in depth when I present my paper on 12th, because my focus is on the image of Africa in the global media. How do the global media see Africa? Some of the things they talk about us, how real are they? You see, a situation where somebody who is in position of authority is busy taking money to Swiss bank, taking money to America, taking money to Britain, buying houses there, and never for one day ask himself or herself, this money that I'm taking to these places to build houses, how many leaders from those places have come down to Africa to build a hut? No, they don't think about that. They don't bother about that. They don't know about that. And so when they go around stealing money like that, the young ones see them, and when they cannot find a way to see, they find a way to make more money. Is our problem right now, because the people are no longer interested in what you will do People are no longer interested in names. They are more interested in wealth. Shakespeare said that good name in men and women is the immediate jewel of their souls. These days, young ones say that good name is not important as long as you have all the money that you can throw around. They say if you cannot beat them, you join them. But that is a very terrible philosophy. The philosophy that if everybody is stealing, you have to steal just because every other person is stealing. Somebody said that if everybody is taking the wrong path and you are the only person who decides to take the right path, go on, because that right path will lead you to where those other ones will never get to in their lives. So that's taken. I think what you mentioned about the issue of marriage is the next thing I think I would look at. Do I go on?
Some of us, Prof, like some of us who are in the Western world,
Mm-hmm.
when we look at the rate of divorce in the African community, we have the Asians here, we have the Arabs, and they are all married and they have their families. But the percentage, the degree of which divorce increase in the African families, especially in US, especially in US, Canada, and UK, you will begin to wonder, do they still have African values with them? Or maybe they threw it to the Atlantic Ocean while they were coming to America. What can you say about this?
I think they must have dropped it. Must have dropped it in the Atlantic Ocean, because a true African woman or a true African woman or man, the woman knows that, like they say, dibugu, that is, the husband is the respect of the woman. In fact, I'll tell you, in Africa, in the good old days, you don't just jump out as Chinedu, you go to marry. Before you go to marry, first and foremost, the elders in your family will make a contact, sometimes on your behalf. Sometimes when you will take them there, but they will make an inquiry to know what is the background of this person. What is the background of this person's family? Are they people who are given to staying in marriages? Or are there people who don't stay in marriages? The truth of the matter is that some of our people, our young ladies, our young men, both sides, they make mistakes. I say both sides, they make mistakes because the young lady who is in Nigeria, particularly when things started getting too bad around here, that almost every other person started looking outside there for salvation. UK, Canada, America, anywhere. That situation was such that when a young lady wants to go out and sees a young man that is coming from there, she has not courted the person for one day. She doesn't know anything about the person. All that she knows about the person is that the person lives in US and therefore is a potential leverage to traveling outside. She may be having a relationship with somebody here in Nigeria before he met that man. But because the person is in US or in Canada or any of these countries outside, she will jettison the other person, throw the relationship overboard and say, okay, I am willing and ready for marriage. Then the man himself will not, for one day, try to know the behavior of this girl. You already proposed to her. So she will hide some of those things that are her weaknesses. And then the marriage is conducted she goes with you. And when she comes, given the state of things in America, we are from what they say, if there is a break in the marriage, the woman goes with 90 or 80% of whatever is there. The girl from onset never loved you, never wanted you. She wanted that relationship because of the place where you live. So once she gets that's what she wants, she will find a way to cause a friction, cause a rift, so that the marriage will break and she will get all that she wants, and probably use that opportunity to bring the man that she was courting and loved, who is in Nigeria or in any other African country, over there. Because that's the person that she originally wanted, not you. She used you as a springboard to get what she wants. Okay? That is one. That kind of person does not believe in that your concept of dibugu. Why? Let me tell you, my wife is a PhD holder, okay? And she's a lecturer in a federal university. But if ordinarily, based on the way things are done, if a woman has a PhD or is a professor or whatever, or a medical doctor, if you write doctor, that Mrs. is superfluous. It is not actually necessary. But for women who value their marriage, like this, my wife I mentioned, she will tell you that Mrs. is her highest title. Please, when you write my name, write Dr. Mrs. my name. Okay? You cannot address my wife as Dr. Chinedu Udeze and she will look at you. She will not say Dr. Mrs. Chinedu Udeze. That is it. That's one part, because these are people who value the marriage, who know that a woman's pride is her husband. Okay? A woman's pride is her husband. On the other hand, let me also come to the men. They also make the same mistake. Apart from the fact that the woman uses them as a leverage, or the women use them as a leverage to get what they want, the men also make the mistake of coming down here. I'm looking for a nurse. Why are you looking for a nurse? Because nursing profession pays. So she comes over there and you never knew anything about her. All you needed is somebody who is a nurse, who is working, who will be making money. So she starts making the money. And unfortunately, you may not be making as much as she's making. Then she starts treating you like a scum. Of course, you know that in African tradition, the man is supposed to provide for the family. So when you are not doing that, a reasonable, responsible woman that loved you from the onset will not see it as a problem. She will not see it as a challenge. She will understand. And she will do whatever she can to keep the family going. But the woman who followed you because you needed a nurse, a money maker, will make the money and will scatter the family and go with her money. So it is neither here nor there. It's a two-way thing. I know of people, so many, who got married in a very flamboyant wedding, and after a year or less than a year that they got to US, the marriage got scattered. The marriage ended like that. It is really a very sad situation. And unfortunately, again, Chinedu, just like I said concerning Rachel, mother, and all the rest of them, people not giving value to life again, parents also contribute. You have mothers, you have fathers who will support their daughters to create crisis in their homes and then leave their husbands because of whatever they are gaining. But a responsible father or a responsible mother cannot do that. Any woman or man that does that, any parent or parents that encourage their daughter to divorce the husband, or encourage their son to divorce their wife, the wife, they are not responsible, because you're living with your own wife, you're living with your own husband, but you want your daughter to divorce the husband because of whatever little thing that is going to come direct to you, you know. So it's a very terrible situation, which is not African at all. It is not African. We know that in those days, our parents married so many wives. They go with those wives to a farm. Some of them are loved more than the others. Of course, a man cannot love all his wives then equally. But then they carry on because they believe that the future will be better, that with their children they will be blessed. But this generation do not have that kind of patience. They want to eat today and die tomorrow, which is unfortunate. Very, very unfortunate. Because in my whole years of existence so far, by God's grace, I cannot remember in my village, Obushi Inyimbo, in our local government area, how many people before we were born left their husbands, and how many people in our age brackets that their wives left. It's not that things are so great for us, no, but they understand the value for that relationship. And you know that in any situation, when you have a broken home, it affects the children. It affects the children because you cannot act as the father and the mother at the same time. No. There are things that the woman is supposed to tell her female children. There are things.
Sure.
That the man is supposed to tell her. It can be possible if, for any reason, one of the partners decides to go the other way. So it is a big challenge. It's a big challenge. And most of those people you're talking about, a whole lot of them don't visit homes again. They don't visit homes again because they know that coming home, people will ask them about their husbands. I know I have a whole lot of them, like I said. I have a whole lot of them that I know who did that kind of thing. But still, there are some reasonable ones, very reasonable ones, who also still remember their background and stick with their husbands for thick or thin. Rain, come sunshine, they are with their husbands, you know. So those who did not stay are those who were never destined to stay in the first instance.
Yeah, Prof, my joy, Prof, is that you are a professional when it comes to media ethics. With the emergence of the social media, don't you think it has a very serious negative adverse effect to the way we observe our traditional values, especially among the young people? What do you think about the effect of social media on this Gen Z generation?
There is no doubt about that. We have always talked about the fact that the emergence of social media has changed so many things. In fact, no other medium of communication over the years, from newspaper through radio, through TV, has created the kind of impact that social media has done in just a very short while. Why is it so? It is so because unlike the traditional media, like we call them, that is radio, TV, newspapers, and magazines, the social media is such that you generate your own content. You do not go for any check, no editing, no
scrutiny.
No scrutiny at all. Like you have, if it is social, if it is conventional media, before an article or a photograph is published or streamed on TV or radio, it will go through professional touch. The editors will try to establish the authenticity or otherwise of the story. Unfortunately, with the social media, as I am here now, I can look out through my window and I will say that there has been a very serious attack by Boko Haram behind my window. And I will use deep fake and generate pictures from God knows where and send it, upload it. And once I do that, people will start sharing it, not minding the fact that it originated from behind my house. It has no this thing in it. So the issue of what the social media has done to the younger generation is something that we communication people actually need to take time to look at. You know, even these days, people will pick something that happened. Like the other day, they brought a story of what they said happened in Sokoto, where 150 people were supposedly or presumably killed. And some people using a fact check said no, that thing happened some years ago in Burkina Faso, not even during the time of Musa Traore. It happened a long time ago. So people use the social media to do a lot of outrageous things. And those outrageous things are seriously impacting on the younger ones. They're seriously impacting on the younger ones because all this idea of okite, like they call them, the charm that they say they do in order to make money, those things are hyped in the social media. All those outrageous behaviors are hyped in the social media. All this idea of don't bother about him, let him go and jump into River Niger. What kind of husband is he? Is hyped by small TikToks and all the rest of them that they do in the social media, you know, most of which are not supposed to be. Now, the issue of ethics, you know, the difference between ethical matters and legal matters is that ethical matters are actually determined socially by the society, but it is enforced individually. You don't have police, you don't have army that say, okay, this action is unethical, so we will punish you for that. It is you and your conscience. It is you and your conscience. Your conscience will tell you that what I'm doing is not the right thing. Like when you want to upload a story that you know is not right, you know is not true, that because you know it's going to create more followership for you, you upload that story. Let me give you an instance. There was a day I was with my family and we were discussing. They brought a picture, a clip of a lady supposedly at Soka, and that lady was had maggots coming out of her, and they say that it is because she went for whatever that those maggots were coming out. I told them that this thing is not real because apart from what I do, I am also an expert when it comes to photojournalism and photography. I can detect and tell with some level of precision when a picture is not true or when a video is not real. So I told them, and eventually it was established that that thing was not real. So with the social media, you can manipulate a lot of things and give people the impression that what is wrong is right and what is right is wrong. Just like the witches in Shakespeare Macbeth that will tell you that fair is foul and foul is fair. Fair cannot be foul and foul be fair. Yeah, it's not true. It's either it is bad or it is good. Somebody said that truth does not wear crutches. If it limps, it is falsehood.
Wow. Prof.
Well done, my brother.
Prof. Yeah, thank you, Thompson. After my hero, Victor Emeko Kechuku. This one touched a lot of followers. They said, Prof. yeah. Prof, Prof, please go on, because a lot of media people are following me. Like this hero, Victor Emeka, is a strong media person. A lot of media people are on the show now watching because they know you are an expert. And the way you are going about it, that's why I told you your experience alone is the show. You have taken the show with your experience alone. So please go ahead, Prof. The social media and influence is so negative, but we still have the positive part of it. But
There is no
what we are
doubt about
saying,
that. There is
from
no
what
doubt.
you're teaching, we are just asking that people should be ethical conscious. People should apply conscious morality before they put things out for the society.
For public consumption.
Well, yes. So I think that's a very strong message to this generation. Prof,
Yes.
Prof, are you
Yes.
a Christian?
I'm a Catholic.
A practicing Catholic. Good. I'm a practicing Catholic.
As a matter of fact, we just talked briefly about my life, but you see, I am a member of what we call Opus Dei. Opus Dei is founded by a Spanish priest, Jose Maria Escriva, which says that you can sanctify yourself through your work, the way you do your work. You can be a saint through the way you do your work.
Sure. Prof, please, can you shift a bit, shift to the right a bit so that you'll be at the center of the camera? Good, better now. So,
right.
yeah, you're a member of Opus Dei. That's good. That's great.
Yes, I'm not supposed to do that, but that is one part of me that made a great difference in my life, because to a large extent, it is that formation that made me to do some of the things that I do, and people start wondering, what kind of person is this? Like when I was the Dean of School of Postgraduate Studies in ESUT for 4 years and 7 months, sometimes we have only 2 halls for graduate defense. When I come to school, and maybe the people who schedule defense made a mistake and scheduled more than 1 department, I leave my office for them. I leave my office for the 3rd department, because my office is such that it can accommodate as many as 45 people comfortably, And when they talk, I'll tell them that office belongs to the university. It's not Sonny Udeze's office. So I had cause on many occasions to, when students meet me on the hallway with their problems, I stand there and attend to them. Because the major thing about the work is that it tells you, when people come to you with their problems, do they go back smiling? If they don't go back smiling, then you have failed. You have failed.
Prof, because of
you didn't tell me why you asked if I'm a Christian.
Yeah, I just wanted to know, because you never talked about your religion. So
okay.
Prof, there's this thing that is keeping me worried now.
What?
And because we are privileged to have you, we want to put trust to you. There's this, everybody now is turning to native doctor. Everybody, all the girls are turning to Eze everywhere. So normally, I come from the family of traditionalists. From Osoka, my grandfather was a traditionalist. I lived with him. I was even part of doing the idol worship. I was myself before I grew up and became a Christian and whatever. You understand? So, but I know that those days I was little, but I still remember. Before you will hear of what is a wine, it might be one in the community, like 5 communities, you can just have one. But this time, in the social media, in everywhere, we are having either a male as a wine or a female as a woke. So, what do you think? Is this not a cultural somersault, as you used to say, or value somersault? Because this was not the way it used to be.
Yes, Chinedu, that question calls for serious, sober reflection. You see, Bob Marley has a song where he said everybody has a right to determine his destiny. And in the judgment, there is no partiality. You choose who you will follow. I choose who I will follow. Joshua told the Israelites, today you choose who you will serve. For me and my household, I will serve the living God. Let me tell you, like your own father, grandfather, my great grandfather is the one of Mbo, who was the first paramount ruler in of Mbo town. Was a great native doctor, very great. In fact, his sojourn was at Mbamiri, that's River State. That's where he practiced. My grandfather, that is his son, my maternal, all these are my maternal grandparents. My maternal grandfather, Nnabugweze Udenibu of Mbo, was a great native doctor. Like you did, I was also serving with him that time when I was in primary school as a small boy. In his own case, he will ask questions. Like he will ask us, why is it that Ofo, you know what Ofo in Igbo language is? The tree that has wrinkles.
I know.
Good. He will ask us, why is it that Ofo has wrinkles? And we will tell him that in those days, Ofo and his friend, Emeregini, were very good friends. And Ofo traveled, Emeregini traveled, or rather Ofo traveled for a business trip and left the wife with the Emeregini. Then by the time he came back, it turned out that his wife was pregnant. And they asked the wife, how did you get pregnant? She said she doesn't know. They asked Ofo, how did the Emeregini, they asked the Emeregini, how did Ofo's wife get pregnant? He said that he doesn't know. So they asked him, did she conceive through the Holy Spirit, the African Holy Spirit, not the Holy Spirit that we talk about? He said no, that he doesn't know. So the elders now made they made Ofo take an oath. And after that, they say that from today, when somebody encounters you in a difficult situation where you're trying to oppress him or oppress her, he will say, okay? Then he will ask so many other questions, we answer, and from there he goes on. But you see, eventually, I moved on with my life when I started growing up. I'm not against what my great-grandparents did, but I don't worship with them. I'll give you an experience. When I contested for the deanship of PG school, on the day of the election, those who believe in Ezenwai and all the other Ezenwoke, like you said, they went and got their charm. And they came to the university very early in the morning. Of course, you know that voodoo thing in universities did not start today. If you remember Chukwuemeka case, Naked Gods, it happened at University of Ibadan years ago. So, but we were thinking that in this day and time, such things will not happen. But I was in the house. They called me and they told me that they brought charm with Hilos Jeep and we are running around the venue of the election. I told them, well, they have a right to do what they want to do, but I know that God lives. I called my spiritual director, a Catholic priest, and told him what happened. He said, don't worry. I will go to that place and let's see which one is God, just like Elijah and the prophets of Baal. He went, and when he got there, he moved around inside the hall, sprinkled his holy water, called me and said, when you get there, read Psalm 91, you will see God at work. When I got there, I read Psalm 91. I defeated the man with 12 votes. And my uncle, or my cousin rather, Dr. Joke, who used to be the Dean of Faculty of Medicine, told them, look, if you people had known where we are coming from, you wouldn't have done this. We had this thing you're doing years back in our place, but we saw something better than it and we followed it. That is by the way. Now, let me come to your Ezemoke and Ezenwai. You see, people have come to associate success with all these things. But deep down in their hearts, they know that to a large extent, they are not real. In my place, just directly opposite my house in the village, there is a shrine that has been there for ages. Recently, if I am in the village, I will notice, like you rightly said, you see young girls with their long hair. You see young boys with exotic cars going into that place. And you ask yourself, the native doctor, the shrine priest, or whatever, that is making money and making time for you to make money, how does he look? What is he wearing? What kind of house does he have? If those things actually give money the way they try to make it, then you discover that they will be very affluent, and they may not reveal it to you. They will reveal it more to their close relations, because, like I said much earlier in this program, our people are beginning to get very selfish. And the funny aspect of it is that sometimes you discover that those people will come, they will park their cars in front of my house because they don't want to be associated with the shrine that they came to visit. And anytime that I'm in the village and they do that, I'll come and tell them, please take your car and park it in front of the place you're going to. Don't park it in front of my place and pretend that you're coming to see me. That
so
you
that
say
you,
they're not proud
so
of what
that you, so that you identify with what you are looking for.
Exactly. You should be proud of what you are doing. You should be proud of what you're doing. You know, the people who want to worship the deities that our people worshipped in those days, they are free to do so. You cannot stop anybody from making his choice. Like I said, Mali said that everybody has a right to determine his destiny. At the end of the day, all that they are trying to do is they have this feeling that they want to make money, and this will give them money. I don't know whether I will have the opportunity to talk a little bit about the things that actually push people into doing these things, because most of the times there must be a motivation, there must be a reason for people's actions. You discover that, like I said, materialism has become the order of the day in our part of the world.
Sure.
It is no longer doing the right thing that is important. It is how much you're able to get that is important. People sacrifice, like I said, sacrifice their parents for money. Politicians sacrifice people for power and all the rest of them. And all these are the kind of things that give bad image to the African people. And it was not like that before. No African will kill anybody for money in those days gone by. No. What kind of money is that? What are you going to do with the money? But these days it's no longer so. So you have the Ezenwai and the Ezenwoke that operate mostly on social media. And when they want to get power, they go back to shrines in the villages to get power. There is no Ezenwai or Ezenwoke that is operating in Canada that has a shrine there. He comes back to Nigeria to get the so-called power from some of the shrines or deities around. And like you said, my brother, is a big problem. I traveled to Okija, Madonna University, sometime last year. I went for a resource verification for the Nigerian National Universities Commission. As I was coming back along the main road, you will see able-bodied young men and women gather around shrines, drinking, cooking, eating what they sacrifice to the idols, And it was not one place, it was not two, it was not three. It was like that until we got to somewhere around Oka. You see? So a lot of things. And you may also be interested to know that hunger is part of it. Some of those, particularly the small boys and small girls who go to those places. When I say small boys and small girls, I don't mean children. I mean those who are not doing anything. They wait eagerly for the day when they do the shrine, like a K or Nkwo or Ode, because they know that when they get there, they will feed sumptuously and drink to their satisfaction. They don't really believe so much in that, but they know that it feeds them every 4 days. So they go to that place. So that is part of it.
Yeah, Prof. Thank you. And thank you for putting on time for us. And we thank God also that God has really proved that you are his servant by arresting the, the fluctuating network, and it's now stable. So,
Yes, yes.
yeah.
We thank God. There is nothing God cannot do. Let me tell you something, Chinedu. This is for everybody who is listening to this program. There is nothing that God cannot do. I'll give you 2 instances or 3 in my life that proves that. One, some years ago, I had an accident at what you call Day Spring today, at Ugui Road. That accident was so bad, I ran into an electric pole. People were looking for me in the hospital, but I was in my house. There was no scratch. When I came out of the Mercedes, it was completely mangled, and I was angry. And I was saying to myself, God, what kind of nonsense is this? Every morning I get up and say, I'm going to morning mass. And look at this. When I came back the next day and saw the wreckage, I said, God, forgive me. I'm really an idiot. I am not supposed to have said this, because you saved me from the jaw of the lion. 2, this one happened when I already got married. I married, and it may interest you to know that the person I married was somebody that my elder brother, the late Professor Joe Udeze, recommended to me. He taught her, and he just told me the day after that accident, if you had died, we would have lost you just like that. You need to marry. People still do PhD when they have married and gotten children. Because my ultimate ambition that time in the 90s was go outside, do my PhD before I get married. So after that incident, he came to me and said, if you don't want to do this, I want to introduce you to somebody and you have to marry the person. I married her. Of course, we stayed. Along the line, after our first child, my wife, they said she cannot deliver again. Why? She had an operation and her fallopian tube was brought out. One of them anyway. And they said her chances of having being pregnant again is almost 50-40 or even below that, because they gave other reasons. Eventually, we kept taking it to God in prayers. And after about 6 months, she got pregnant. We went to Hamsa Diagnostic Center. Of course, you know Hamsa because you're from Enugu now. Hamsa Clinic, Diagnostic Center. And the ultrasound, Chinedu, you won't believe it, revealed that my wife has 2 fallopian tubes again. And that's why I tell people that God has papers for human beings. And if you ask faithfully, he will give to you. Now, from having 1 child, I got 6 and said, I don't want again. That time, my wife was always worried. She was always crying. And it's not as if they said they told us. They gave us this fallopian tube in a conical flask that they put formalin for preservation. So that is God for you. And that was why some years ago, about 3-4 years ago, in my house in the village, some of these boys went to that place, broke the POP, took my double barrel gun and plasma TB. They directed me to go to Nsukka that if I go to Enugu Ezike, they will carry those things on their head and come back and stand in front of that place. And I told them that after all that God did for me, if I should go to a native doctor just because I want to recover my double barrel gun and 2 plasma TV, God will say that I'm an idiot, that I don't deserve all that he has done for me. So if it pleases God that they should go with it, let them go with it. And that was how it ended. So God is real. It's not subject to argument. It's not subject to argument. It is true that sometimes some servants of God do things that are funny, but that is the person and his own life. Because at the end of the day, they will not say because your priest did this and you got angry, then you don't have any problem. No, your priest will be judged as your priest. You will be judged as Sonny or Chinedu.
Wow. Wow, 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 wow. Hey, Prof, this testimony is this testimony is like shaking me.
I know I do that every time. When I have the opportunity,
Yes.
I do that. Because that's
Wow.
one thing that would have created a crack in my marriage. That idea that she will not have any other child. I will keep telling her that if it's only one child that God wants us to have, it's not a problem. But she will also tell me that when the push comes to shove, you'll be forced to marry another wife. But God did not allow us to pass through that temptation.
Yeah. Yeah, thank you, Prof. Prof, it will not be complete if what we are discussing will not be complete if we don't talk about Nigeria government and the academic where you come from.
Well, my brother.
Some people said that the reward of teachers are in heaven. And that thing is a very bad precedent. You see, when some of us came here and see the way teachers and professors are honored and respected by the government, we begin to pity those of you who are in Nigeria. But many of you, despite this choking, angry finger of the economy, you still get satisfied with this job. You make it look like a calling. What can you say about this?
Well, my brother, it's really a pity. The truth is that our government, and I'm not talking about Nigeria alone, a whole lot of African countries, even though some other African countries are far, far better than Nigeria. In Nigeria, the take home of a professor of 12 years standing, like myself, I'm 13 years a professor now. My total take home is not up to 500,000 naira. And you know that the 500,000 naira, if you look at it at the current exchange rate, that means that it's not up to $100 or $200. And that is very pathetic, extremely pathetic. A whole lot of people have left. If you're opportune to come across one of my works after the whirlwind, a discourse on international communication, at the back page of the book, what you call the blob, I lamented very seriously about what the uncaring and insensitive attitude of government has done to the educational system. I mentioned my great professors who taught me at the University of Nigeria as undergraduates. Most of them, immediately things got too bad, they left. Most of them left, went back to US, went back to Canada. People are tarrying on, not necessarily because they want to do so, but because somehow you are compelled by circumstances or situation. I'll give you an instance with myself. When I was much younger and stronger that I could have jappered, like they say, I had a situation on my hand where my old mom was with me because we have only one woman. My mother has only one daughter. She spent 6 months in US and 6 months in Nigeria. So anytime that she's away in US, my mother stays with me. How can you leave her and start going overseas? Of what use will that money be if she will not be there when you come back? You know, and because she was attached to me, it becomes difficult for her to stay with some of our other siblings. They bring her in, they welcome her, they want her to stay. But somehow, from childhood, she has always been very much attached to me. So you cannot just take the decision to leave like that. Yes, whatever is worth doing well. The passion to continue in spite of the odds, in spite of the challenges, is born out of the fact that if I am able to share some of the comments that my former students made in the platform where they are trying to organize this, my forthcoming lecture on 12th. Some of them will say things that will touch you, things that you never knew that they thought about you, So you find a way, in spite of the challenges, to keep surviving. But then, motivation is very central in anything that one does. The percentage that United Nations recommended for funding of education is not in any way up to what they give to education around here is not even up to 1/10 of that recommendation, which is very unfortunate. Apart from the fact that the teachers are not paid well or the lecturers are not paid well, which makes them to go on strike from time to time, thereby disrupting the academic calendar. In most cases, you discover that the infrastructures are decaying. Thank God for TED Fund, what they call Tertiary Education Trust Fund. Otherwise, you won't be seeing new buildings in most Nigerian universities. It is TED Fund. If you go to most state-owned universities, government-owned, federal government-owned universities, you will say TED Fund sponsored this year, that year. NIE sponsored this year, that year. Which shows that it is that TED Fund that has been keeping the university system going to a large extent. But there is need for a review. You can imagine a situation where somebody who is a school dropout that doesn't have a degree is a councillor or local government chairman or governor self, and he controls all the wealth. Where is the motivation? It is because of this that the young ones, the Gen Zs as you call them, we want to be politicians rather than academics. It was that same thing that made them to think of being generals when the army was in charge instead of being academics. It is that same thing that made them to be thinking of being politicians or generals instead of being medical doctors, being lawyers, being engineers. Even when they become engineers and lawyers and doctors, if they find opportunity to wriggle into the political arena, they will not want to come back again, unfortunately. Do you know that things are so bad that I learned or read where His Excellency P2B was talking about a professor friend of his who was telling him when they came for campaign that if the man he came to campaign for wins, is it senatorial or House of Rep election? I think it's Atansoka, that he would like to be SA. Tell me how a professor can be a special assistant to somebody who doesn't have a degree. Is it not a shame? Is it not a shame? So how can you give your best? So those of us who stress ourselves to still continue, we are doing it because we know that along the line, God will remember us, not just in heaven, but here on earth.
Yeah, thank you, Prof. I think we'll have 5 minutes to round up. And in the 5 minutes, I want you to give a strong message to Nigerians and to Africans, both at home and diaspora, that are watching this program. And at the tail end of it too, what do you have to say about this platform, Chinedu Anichi TV?
Well, let me start with saying that it's a commendable job that you're doing, because a lot of people will get to know about our own side of the story, to hear our own story from us, different from the ones who tell them that Africans live on trees, different from the ones that tell them that Africans live on huts. Even when Africans, politicians, particularly the politicians, come to buy the best mansions in their places. Outside that, my message to Africans, both in the diaspora and in the continent, is that this life we live is for a while. You don't need to do certain outrageous things because you want to make money, which is the problem that we're having with our politicians, because they want to amass all the wealth in the world. They go out and use the money that would have been used to build hospitals, to do good roads, to do health, a good educational system, and provide employment by creating jobs. They pack this money and dump in foreign banks. Finally, the story is told that no man goes with anything he has earned in life. A man was about to die and told the son, "When I die, give me all the things that I have." The son said, "No problem, Dad, I will do that." He went out, checked their estate. They were into estate, came back and told him, "Daddy, this is what you're worth in terms of estate." Went out, checked their haulage, checked money at bank, came back and told him, he said, "That is why I trust you, my son. Your total value is this, and you got that correctly. When I die, put that for me in the grave." When he died, the son told him, "I'll put everything for you, but father, don't die." But of course, man must die one day somehow. The man died. The son wrote a check, and on the check he wrote pay. He wrote the father's name. Amount, he wrote the total sum of all that they calculated: haulage, estate, cash in the bank. And when the man was about to be buried, he put the check in his hand and told him, "Dad, when you go over there, cash this money. I don't know the kind of currency they use there, but this is your total worth here. You can go with it." The boy didn't put anything for him, because no money was given to him. He just took a piece of paper. That is to say that everything that we deprive others of happiness from, because of those things, we can't build roads, people suffer, people go through hell. All those things, you will be lucky if they put one pair of shoes for you. You will go with only stockings. You will go with only one shirt, one trouser, or one suit. Nothing more than that. If they put trinkets for you, people who are hungry will excavate the casket and take the trinkets and sell. They did it to one governor in one state, in one country, some years back. I don't want to mention, maybe you know.
Okay, thank you, Prof, for coming. I don't want to exceed my time, and I am so grateful you're here. And I want to tell you, Prof, whenever we need you, we still invite you. You're a father to this platform. You're a father to this platform. And I want to tell you everything you need the world to know about what you are doing or your publication or whatever. Especially, I'm going to do an advert for a special advert I'm going to post for your inaugural lecture. So
that would be great. In fact, well, I will send the link so that you will listen to that lecture. It will be explosive, but I was talking with my brother and friend, Professor Udeze, the other time, where he was vibrating. I told him, "Well, we are talking to a deaf audience." He said, "Yes, but we have to keep talking."
Yeah. You have to keep talking. Thank you, Prof, for coming. Thank you.
You're
I'm
welcome, my brother.
for sustaining and sustaining the continuity of intergenerational conversation. That is the reason
Thank
why we're
you.
here. Thank you. We are
Thank
grateful.
you.
May the Lord protect you and preserve you the way He has been doing for us. And we love you.
Thank you
Sincerely.
so much, my brother. Thank
And
you.
we're proud of you.
Thank you so much. I really
God bless
appreciate.
you.
Have
Thank
a
you.
wonderful evening. I don't know. Over there is morning for you or afternoon.
It's afternoon, but
Okay.
okay.
All right.
Thank you, Prof.
Okay, my brother. Good night.
Yeah, my people, you have heard Professor Sonny Udeze, very articulate, very intelligent. You can see what a prof is made up of. This is not just a prof like that. You have seen a prof of stuff, a prof that is really stuff, that is prof. This is not half-baked prof. And we are so proud to have him. We are proud to show him to the world that this is a product of Africa, a product of Enugu, a product of Ogu, a product of Igbo, and a proud product of Igbo land. So Prof has really proved that he's a professor beyond reasonable doubt. I know you people believe what. So each time I promise you, I'll be bringing men that are resourceful, men that have experience, men that will keep you. You know, nobody wants to go here, but I just have to be prudent enough to follow my timing. God bless you. Remember, Chinedu Anichi TV will continue to come to you 8 p.m. Nigerian time every day and 2 p.m. Central American time. Bye for now. You know, I love you. I love you. I sincerely love you. But don't forget, we rise by lifting others. God bless you. Thank you.